So he's feeling great after that debate, but I think he is a little bit nervous about the country. You also heard whenever he was in Virginia at that campaign rally, him say to anyone out there who's considering doing anything, before I become president again, don't even try it. The fact that you have Donald Trump leading the country right now when he is not officially yet back in the White House speaks volumes to the American people and I think to the rest of the world. He is the leader we need right now, and he is leading despite the fact that Joe Biden is technically the president. I think everybody can see what's going on here, and I think you're going to see a huge, huge win for Donald Trump come November 5th.
This is Michael Popok, Legal AF. You heard it there. The Republican National Committee chairperson, co-chairperson, and daughter-in-law of the former president, Donald Trump, a candidate for office, believes that Donald Trump is already leading the country even before he gets into office. Does she need an 8th or 7th grade civics lesson? Does she need to understand the Constitution even better than her father-in-law? I'll break it all down for you right on this head-scratching, head-turning hot take. Lara Trump goes on the news and says basically the quiet part out loud, that the Trump administration in waiting in their own minds has created a shadow government. We know about the 2025 project, but let me all break it down to you, because I don't think it was a malaprop. I don't think it was a slip of the tongue. I don't think it was what we call a Freudian slip in Washington, which is accidentally telling the truth. This is how they think. They think that Donald Trump is already, quote unquote, leading the country because he's out bashing our criminal justice system 24/7 and giving rallies in which he goes after the Joe Biden and the Biden administration. That's the equivalent in their mind of running the country. There's no other way to take her words at face value and interpret them any other way. He's already leading the country. I think what she meant, but I'm not sure, is that he's leading in some of the polls, although we haven't seen the results of the debate seep into the water supply yet. But she didn't say that. What she said was he's leading the country even though he's not in the White House. Now look, Donald Trump has already decided who his cabinet is going to be. Many of the people in his cabinet, if he were to be restored to the presidency, are familiar names and faces from the last insurrectionist version of this presidency. Many of the people that you hated then, you're going to see back with redoubled effort and renewed vigor a second time around. Many of those people, many have been indicted, convicted, gone to jail, are felons, pled guilty, and lost their bar licenses. You're going to see Jeff Clark, who was the number 3 or 4 in the Department of Justice, be elevated and rewarded, even though he's been indicted numerous times as being a part of the coup. You're going to see Steve Bannon, fresh off a stint in prison for the big guy, his cult leader, restored to some sort of, as a reward, some sort of position of power within the West Wing. You're going to see Mike Roman, who's been indicted twice related to his being the mule of taking fake election certificates as the head of Donald Trump's election day operation, be restored to power. You're going to see Stephen Miller restored to the presidency. And the list goes on. Rudy Giuliani, this would have put a shock down your spine, a chill down your spine. Rudy Giuliani, who doesn't even have a bar license, could well be heading something within in the office of the Attorney General. He could be the Attorney General. Aileen Cannon, who's obviously has decided this is her moment. This is her close-up, Mr. DeMille. This is her 15 minutes of fame, unfortunately coinciding with our desire and demand for justice as the judge in the Mar-a-Lago case. She's trying out for one of two things, obviously. Either a lucrative position as a private lawyer leaving the bench and representing MAGA, or her being elevated to a plum court position on the appellate court in the District of Columbia, or, shudder to think, the United States Supreme Court. So when I hear Lara Trump say aloud that Donald Trump is already running the government, which is a absolute treasonous lie. It's no other way to call it. Former presidents or candidates for office are not allowed to conduct their own foreign policy under the Constitution, which only recognizes the power and authority of one president at one time, whether a new president or a re-elected president. That is the person that holds all of the Article 2 power. Not until the moment when the new person is sworn in. They hold that power even after an election. But if they're not yet elected, they hold as much presidential power as you and me. And that's it. But to Lara Trump, he's already running the government. That's another backhanded way, right, to undermine the legitimacy of the Biden administration and all that they've accomplished, which I couldn't do on 100 hot takes, to help Americans and our democracy. Everything related to energy policy, infrastructure investment in lowering the poverty rate, the children poverty rate, improving public health, getting chip manufacturing for computers back in Americans' hands and away from the Chinese, increasing energy supply through various ways and methods, right? Making sure our cars, our roads, our planes, and other things are safer, going after public corruption through the Department of Justice, strengthening the social safety net of this country, strengthening the Social Security payments, Medicare, Medicaid, making sure it's on solid footing, rebuilding our bridges and tunnels and roadways that were left to fall into decrepit mess by Donald Trump, the builder-in-chief, when he really wasn't. And all that he's done successfully through a very successful Secretary of State in Anthony Blinken abroad in managing not one, but two wars. Neither of us wanted, but were put at our doorstep. And making sure it didn't lead to a wider conflagration, right? That the whole Middle East would burn, that the whole of Eastern Europe would burn. And he's avoided that by managing those issues, right? These days, a lot of people are learning about all the benefits of fasting, like weight loss, mental and physical performance, and gut health, but worry about the whole not eating part. Well, that's exactly why Prolon was created. Introducing Prolon, a revolutionary plant-based nutrition program that nourishes the body while making cells believe they're fasting. Researched and developed for decades at the University of Southern California Longevity Institute and backed by leading U.S. medical centers, Prolon helps promote healthy blood sugar, support cardiovascular health, and reduce abdominal fat. But Prolon isn't a diet. Prolon is science. Science based on Nobel Prize-winning discoveries in medicine. And this all starts with Prolon's 5-day program. Snacks, soups, and beverages, all designed to keep your body in a fasting state. It's unlike anything you've ever experienced. Prolon has nutrition plans down to a science. It's convenient, backed by Nobel-winning science, and it works. Being able to tackle my blood sugar levels and cardiovascular health within the same plan is a game changer. I've already been able to feel the Prolon difference after just 1 week. It's no wonder why thousands of doctors now recommend Prolon to support healthy blood sugar and cardiovascular health. Right now, Prolon is offering Legal AF by MeidasTouch listeners 15% off their 5-day nutrition program. Go to prolonlife.com /legalaf. That's PROLONLIFE.com /legalaf for this special offer. That's prolon.com /legalaf. And so you have that, and then you've got Lara Trump saying out loud, well, Joe Biden's not really in charge. People think Donald Trump is running the government. Donald Trump couldn't run a bath at this point. He's been adjudged to be the only way he made money in business is through fraud. The only way he's gotten ahead is through not just sharp elbow practice, but defamation and disgusting conduct and behavior towards women and misogyny. He's been adjudged a rapist. He's been adjudged a fraudster. He's been convicted of 34 counts of business record fraud. His businesses have been convicted of 17 more counts of tax fraud and business record fraud. He's been indicted in 4 different places by 4 different grand juries, 1 special purpose grand jury, and already not 1 but 2 separate juries, or 3 when you count E. Jean Carroll's rape and defamation and punitive damages case. Everybody around him has either gone to jail, is about to go to jail, has been convicted, is about to be convicted, and or has lost their bar license or is about to. And this is on one side of the ledger. On the other side of the ledger is a successful Biden administration whose proof of the pudding is in the tasting, whose body of work stands on its own. And yet you have Lara Trump kind of paraphrasing the 2025 project, Donald Trump's master scheme to be ready on day 1 to reinstall his co-conspirators into positions of power and then implement his policies of retribution and his policies of retaliation. And that's what we're going to see for the first 3 years of a new term. Even the dog is upset about it. 3 years of a 4-year term before he goes lame duck. But that won't be, let's be honest, until 2029 at the earliest. And so we're going to continue to follow it right here in the MeidasTouch Network, and stupid comments that have meaning, secret code meaning to the right-wing MAGA. But those that are on the fence, to the extent that you still exist, that are independents and women and other groups that have not yet made their decision about who to vote for, think about which candidates' morals and values and accomplishments align with yours. All right? Do the research. Think about, if you were president, what would you want accomplished when it came to poverty, Social Security, social safety net, women's rights, reproductive rights, voting rights, immigration rights, our infrastructure, the defense of the homeland, the protection of the homeland, what type of cases we want our Department of Justice, civil and criminally, to go after in terms of public corruption, police corruption, and the like, civil rights, justice. And if you say, well, on balance, I'd go with Donald Trump. Okay, then you've made your decision. But if on balance, it's more likely than not that group of things I just said align with the Biden administration, then you vote for the reelection of the president. There's no 2 ways about it. And all the hand-wringing about a debate performance is almost the exact same equivalent of what I've reminded people about the hand-wringing about Hillary Clinton. There was a lot of hand-wringing about Hillary Clinton, a lot of tut-tutting about her. That wasn't a thumbs up moment. I don't like her. She's not honest. I don't like she stayed with Bill. I don't like she didn't leave Bill. I don't like what she did with the emails. I don't like what she did as Secretary of State or as Senator or as First Lady. I don't like her. And what I've told people is, did you like the result? Did you like the chaos, the immorality of the Trump presidency? Did you like what he did to the United States Supreme Court? Because that's on your hands for having voted for Donald Trump or not having gotten off the couch and voted in large numbers or large enough numbers for Hillary Clinton. I'm not saying she was the perfect candidate or ran a perfect campaign. She did not. I'm not saying her feet weren't made partially of clay. They were. But the alternative was unthinkable, but it happened. And now those people, I told them at the time, hold your nose and vote for Hillary Clinton, because the Supreme Court matters, because our Department of Justice and what they go after and what they prosecute and investigate matters. Because you might think she's got her own issues, but she is really competent and will be surrounded by additionally competent people in her inner circle. Same thing for Joe Biden. You might have your doubts about his debate performance. And if you voted based on the first debate performance, there would be no President Barack Obama, and there would be no President Ronald Reagan, both who did terribly in their debate performance. Now, we have a weird debate schedule right now. I'm old-fashioned. I like my debates every 3 weeks or every 2 weeks. I like there to be 3 of them. And I like there to be a little bit more, audience participation and moderating what happened in this last, I don't even know what it was. But we're not going to have that. The next debate's going to be 2 months, a month before the election. And a lot of hearts and minds have already started to coalesce around their decisions. And so my normal thing is don't worry about the first one, second and third, and then you look at it on balance. It's not really going to work. But as I said, Ronald Reagan did a terrible job his first time against Walter Mondale. And there's no such thing as a President Walter Mondale. Barack Obama did not do well against George W. Bush. And yet there was no George W. Bush. Or, I'm sorry, where am I today? Or the candidate that was up against, sorry about that, the candidate that was up against George W. Barack Obama at that moment. Sorry about that. I don't know where I was. There is no Mitt Romney presidency. Sorry, I've been off the mic for too long. And so at the end of the day, when you hear Lara Trump say that Trump is already president, that should be a wake-up call to make sure that doesn't happen in November. I'll continue to follow it at the intersection of law and politics the only way I know how. Uncensored, unfiltered, unplugged, sometimes unhinged, right here on the MeidasTouch Network and on Legal AF. It's our podcast now. You know why we call it that. It's every Wednesday. It's every Saturday. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's only on YouTube, but on the MeidasTouch Network. And then on audio podcast platforms of your choice. If you like what I'm doing here, I'm Michael Popok. Give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment. It helps. It's not ego. It's algorithm. It keeps us on the air, keeps our lights on, and keeps our network growing. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting. Heary, heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.